Donald Trump is facing, he's got 3 indictments right now. Is that right? Is it 2? I believe it's 2. One in the city. He's got a 3rd coming up in August in Georgia that I think it's reasonable to anticipate based upon what the Georgia prosecutor's been talking about. This case, in terms of his stolen documents, completely of his own making. Yeah. I mean, in that he had multiple occasions in which to avoid all of this. He refused for whatever reason. It's unclear. And the judge has set an early date of August 14th for this case to proceed. Nobody thinks it's actually going to, but that is basically more of like a floor as opposed to a ceiling. And so it will not start before August 14th. The prosecutors the other day are aiming closer to December of this year. And it remains to be seen whether he's able to stall. But there's just so much evidence here, and it really is about obstruction, but it's also about whether he knew that he had these documents, which at various times, I mean, it's one thing to say on a TV show, I sort of lied about saying that I had them because it's TV. Yeah. But there's increasingly more evidence that he knew that he had them and that he knew that they were not declassified. He has claimed
that's his major defense, right? Is that he is trying to say that he declassified them as president before he left. Yeah, and it turns out that he, at least contemporaneous of when he had these documents, did not, but you also get a sense of why he was doing it. This is, we heard about this tape before, but here is the actual tape. This is really... from 2021. Yep. And maybe we'll just, I don't think we need to say Trump, but I'll say it's a staffer when it's a staffer. I think people recognize Trump's voice.
Bad, sick people.
That was staffer. Coup, you know, against you.
Well, it started right at the beginning.
Like when Millie's talking about, oh, you were going to try to do a coup. No, they were trying to do that before you even were sworn in. That's right. Trying to overthrow your election.
Well, with Millie, let me see that. I'll show you an example. He said that I wanted to attack Iran. Isn't it amazing? I have a big pile of papers. This thing just came up. Look. This was him. They presented me this. This is off the record, but they presented me this. This was him. This was the Defense Department and him. Wow. We looked at him.
That was the writer.
This wasn't done by me. This was him. All sorts of stuff. It's pages long. Look. Wait a minute. Let's see here.
Yeah.
I just found, isn't that amazing? This totally wins my case, you know. Mm-hmm. Except it is like highly confidential.
Yeah. All right, pause it for 1 second. I don't want to go back for that. But this is what I think, you know, it's becoming clear as to why he kept these documents. I had a conversation with, I think it was Julian, who's the CNN? We've had him on a couple of times. The historian,
Zelizer.
Yeah,
Zelizer.
Julian Zelizer went into a meeting with a bunch of other historians with Trump, and Trump was trying. And this was a couple of years ago. I think they've written a book on it, maybe even, or certainly an article. And Trump is like selling all the historians on the way that they're going to like talk of his administration, right? And it's quite clear here that he's keeping these documents, at least in part, again, because if he knew what he had and was going to monetize these things, he could have just photocopied them. Mm-hmm. People don't need the original documents. Yeah. But this is him slowly going through these things, like almost like, you know, I had my first grade papers in my parents' attic, and I'm just going through to look back on my life and see what was there. And this is him going back so that he can spend the next couple of years setting the story straight. Yeah.
I mean,
all them.
It's like baseball cards or something like that, or this is a really rare one that proves this smear against me. Except it's more personal. It's like when you wish that you could go back and like have documentation about something that happened in your life to prove a point. He is fixated on that from like a macro perspective about the presidency.
Oh yeah, I mean,
I understand that.
I understand why I would do that, particularly if you were of his mentality, which is, I think, shaky.
That's why Nixon recorded everything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But go back. The problem is for him here is that he is openly admitting that I'm not supposed to have these papers, sort of.
Right.
Do we understand like the connection he's making between the coup against him, like before he gets into office, and this Iraq thing where he's
Iran
thing?
Yeah.
Oh no. Those are completely unrelated.
Right.
They're completely unrelated. He's trying to argue that the deep state was out to get him from day one, and that every bad thing that was attributed to him in the news during those years was somebody else.
Right, that he didn't really want to invade Iran, even though
it wasn't me.
He assassinated a top general, Soleimani, and that was clear. That could have been, if Iran didn't show restraint, a war between us and Iran. Thank God that wasn't the case. But that was Trump.
The idea wasn't even fine, but the actual I was the one who pressed the button.
Yeah, right.
So the accuracy is me, but all right, here we go.
This wasn't done by me, this was him. All sorts of stuff. It's pages long, look. Wait a minute, let's see here.
He's trying to make it seem like you hadn't set this up for the writer.
Yeah.
I just found, isn't that amazing? This totally wins my case,
What case?
Except it is like highly confidential, secret. This is secret information. But look at this. You attack, and
Hillary would print that out all the time.
That's a stopper.
she'd send it to Anthony Weiner, the pervert. By the way, isn't that incredible?
Yeah.
I was just saying, because we were talking about it. And he said he wanted to attack Iran and what? These are the papers.
It's pretty
This is done by the military, given to me.
So the connection here is there's this New Yorker article, July 15, 2021 by Susan Glazer. And it goes into the last time Millie spoke with Trump. And he said basically there are two nightmare scenarios for the period after November 3rd. One would be that Trump would call on the military to domestically keep it in power, or the other one would be that he would provoke an external crisis with Iran. And Milley alleged that. So what Trump is saying is, we have documents here that the Pentagon wanted to strike Iran itself. And
honestly, that's kind of helpful information to know.
Well, no, because look, of course, there is a document, there is a packet in the Pentagon on attacking every country in the world. I would be shocked if we did not have a plan to attack Canada. I mean, like everywhere.
Good point.
That is what's happening there. And so Trump takes these things as evidence. That's different than Trump saying, like, let's do it. Pull out what you have and let's do it. Like, but even it, like, I mean, that back and forth almost doesn't matter in the context, at least of what Trump is dealing with. You know, it is highly unlikely that the U.S. doesn't have multiple plans on how to attack Iran,
and that are
with various proxies,
and that are generally like desired by people in decision-making context. And Trump, the idea that Trump would know about that and then basically look at them as insurance, and his knowledge of them as insurance. And
it's trying to inoculate him against media reports, as opposed to what I've seen some of the defense has been is that, like, oh, he's akin to a whistleblower or something. He was not. This would be a different thing if he was like, look at all the things the deep state are doing. They want to attack X, Y, and Z. First of all, it's undercut by the fact that he did assassinate Soleimani, so he's not some dove on Iran. And two, like, he was hoarding them for personal gain. He was not trying to
expose that we have a plan to attack Iran. Of course we have a plan to attack Iran. Of course we do. I mean, I am quite convinced we have a plan to attack, whatever, the top 50 countries in the world.
He can't be a whistleblower if we haven't seen these documents.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Oh, no, I only give them out to people who are writing possible profiles on me or profiles of people around me. So that's it.
I'm getting ready to blow the whistle, but just wait. Okay.
I'm waiting for the right time. Yeah, when they start to pound those war drums, that's when I swoop in. But then they can't help themselves. They're still obsessed with Clinton.
Yeah.
Remember, this is like a year ago, essentially, that this happened. Yeah. No, she would send emails to Wiener.
But that admission is under Hillary, like, ha ha ha, this is like Hillary. They're admitting that this is a handling of classified material that is outside the norm in a joking manner.
That they were calling for her to be locked up.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
She'd send it to Anthony Weiner, the pervert. By the way, isn't that incredible?
Yeah.
I was just saying, because we were talking about it, and he said he wanted to attack Iran and what. These are the
You did.
papers.
It's pretty
This was done by the military, given to me. I think we can probably, right?
I don't know, we'll have to see. Yeah, we'll have to try to
Declassified.
figure out
See, as president, I could have declassified.
Yeah.
Now I can't, but this is classified.
now we have a problem.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
It's so cool.
Just to be clear, what happened here? I mean, I don't know how more explicit you can get. He says, so what he's saying to his staffer is like, do you think we can because they want to slide these papers to the writer so that the writer then writes the story. It was Milley's idea, not Trump's idea.
Yeah.
And of course, Trump is such an idiot that he doesn't understand that like any writer who has any awareness of this knows that these exist here, that they have plans to attack every country. It's the civilian leadership that says, pull those out of the filing cabinet. Let's take a look at those. And so he is saying, do you think we can, to a staffer? And she's saying, well, we got a little bit of a problem. Go a little forward here. A little bit of a problem. And he goes, see, I when I was president, I could have classified it, but I
Yes.
didn't.
Right.
And she said, now we got a problem. And it's like literally admitting the whole dynamic. Like
On tape. I mean, I don't know if it's a smoking gun, but it's pretty damn close.
how intense do you think the rush to getting to the boss's desk at the DOJ is there to be the one who litigates this case and tries to prove that he didn't declassify these documents are? Like, they're all like thinking, we're going to get a huge win here. But all right, go ahead.
Well, yeah, I mean, just to say, like, the actual smoking gun tape was a lot less clear than this. It was things
Yeah.
Nixon saying, like, when you open that scab, it opens up a lot of things.
Right.
This was done by the military, given to me. I think we can probably,
I don't know, we'll have to see. Yeah, we'll have to try to
declassify.
figure out
See, as president, I could have declassified. Now I can't, but this is classified.
now we have a problem.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
It's so cool. I mean, it's so. Here I have. And you probably almost didn't believe me, but now you believe me.
No, I believe
It's
you.
incredible,
That's the writer.
right?
No,
Hey, bring some Cokes in, please.
He ends it with some
He
Cokes
loves-
bringing
he
in.
loves
So
Coke.
understand what he did here, and he thought he was so intelligent about this whole thing. They had the documents here. He knew one of the things he wanted to sell this writer on was the idea that he wasn't going to be the guy who was going to attack Iran. It was Milley. And he just like, I'm just looking at my papers. They're like, yeah, this one I just found. Just have this one. And is there any way that we can maybe, we got a problem, but maybe this would have been the proof. But now you've seen it. Now you know. I didn't, now you know. I didn't.
Yeah.
This is why he is, in his other life, he really just is a PR executive who got a little bit too big for his britches and became like the Republican president. Because this is probably what he did with Trump, like his properties and things. He'd have reporters in and he'd glad hand and bring in some Cokes and he'd show them a little something to get on their side, a bit of a limited hangout for his own purposes. But except this time he's just doing it with like highly classified information about war.
He doesn't deny the part that Milley said, like, in addition to the Iran gambit, that he wanted the military to step in to help him maintain power domestically.
Well, yes, right.
Samsberger is saying those aren't staffers. That's the ghostwriters from Meadows' book. No, there's a staffer in there, and she's the voice you hear the most. But at the end, it is the ghostwriters who said, like, you wouldn't have believed me. And the writer says, no, I believed you. And Trump says, it's incredible, right? And the writer says, no, they never met a war they didn't want, because as a writer there, you want to get into the...
right, you got to butter him up.
I mean, this is, again, the real issue is going to be, can Donald Trump push this case deep into 2024? That's the only question.
Yes. And right now, I guess it's supposedly December is the target date, but he could probably push that back. And there was a story from yesterday that he has quietly changed the language on his website for political donations. It used to be 99 cents going to his reelection effort, 1% to his PAC. And now it's 90 to 10%. And that's apparently the speculation is that he's trying to get all that money into his PAC for his legal bills. So he has an incentive, even if he thinks he can't win, to keep running, because the more he runs, the more donations he gets getting funneled into his PAC, where he can pay his actual legal bills.
Oh, and also the more he runs, the harder it is to maintain the case. Like, at what point does are they going to prosecute him through the entire campaign into onto election day? I mean, what? I mean, are they're going to appeal if he gets, I mean, maybe he gets fast tracked before the election, but what happens when you start getting into primary season?
I know.
December, you've already done a couple of Republican primaries. And then, the
hush money case is in March. It's after Super Tuesday. I would hope that this case gets, to be honest, that would be ideal if it all comes crashing down in March and Trump's already has like a significant lead in the primary. I don't know, but
this is going to be crazy.
It's unprecedented.
This is going to be crazy.